Today is August 6, 2021. Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. I wanted to bring up a point, which was when I was living in Huntington, New York, which is it's zip code 11743. I was living in Cold Spring Harbor at the time. The population, it became popular with something called a beeper, B-E-E-P-E-R. That was, you get this little electronic device, and if your friends or parents need you, or it's time to come home, or one of your babysitting people need you, whatever, they beep you, and then you call them, and it's up to your discretion, like how fast. So that was something, I think it was only like $10 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, something like that. That was the first electronic leashing system that they unleashed in New York before, like they had satellite phone, I think. My third grade teacher, Miss Arvans, had one of those. Let's think about this. But I think that was a history rewrite, like an overdrive of there were some things disclosed once upon a time, and then they erased that memory completely and opened up a separate window once they discovered in private section, and I don't know how, about certain functions with time and space, which is part of the problem. My mom, to tie that in, my mom had she said a hysterectomy, and they said that her ovaries needed to come out, which is weird. And not only, they did not use suture or lanyard of any kind, I don't know the name for medical sutures, the string, but they use staples, S-T-A-P-L-E-S, which I know is a sign in the hospital that she went to of something bigger going on in the infrastructure of whatever's going on with my life. With her as my foxhole, and I as foxtrot, and I being vixen, with this whole viper thing going on. I was written with biblical reference, so I know there's importance here, but it behooves me. Alright, so they did beepers. So beepers, $5, $10 a month, yeah, whatever, no big deal. You got a phone number, you just went about your business, that was it. Or you just went about whatever you used it for. Then all of a sudden, I had to go, I think we moved from Huntington to Bayside. Something happened, or something with the bill. I had to go into a store. And when I came to Queens, I noticed, and that's how I got my first cell phone. When I went to Queens to renew my beeper contract, it was, I can't remember who was out in Long Island, but I know when I got to Queens, it was nothing familial whatsoever. So they were, I don't know what country, but that gentleman pointed out, he's like, this is a contract, and I had never heard that word before. I'm like, what does that mean? And he's like, it's an agreement. I go, an agreement for what? I was like, you're giving me the equipment called a beeper, and or cell phone, and I'm agreeing to pay for a connection service. What more am I agreeing to? And he was like, well, it's right here. He's like, it's in the contract. You can read it. And I'm like, why is it in a contract, if that's what contract means? Why is it there's something more? I don't want to read it. I want to know, what does it mean to you, human? So, that was my first experience with the cell phone industry, but there was no warning, there was no health consultation, there was no anything. And I was a minor. I wasn't 18 yet. So that happened right here in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361, when we moved back in the 1990s. And now, in retrospect, I thought they weren't allowed to give out alphanumeric symbol or assign them, because then that's indicative of they're in charge of the phone company and the operator system somehow. These foreign, non-heritage, I mean, this is where heretics come from. All these, like, ticks and tallies of problems that nobody's addressed over these years. My mom used to wear a foundation called Shiseido. I was makeupless. It's cover up. My mom had cover up. I had no cover up. So for me, I was foundationless with Linda. That's how I was born, and that's the promotional story, which is also the truth in action, of what laid before me in order to get to this route. Now here's the thing. Lou's doing this stupid thing with some Santa Claus book. He's got to get an ISBN, and now like he's all annoyed because he's got to teach himself all this stuff. I go, here's the thing, Lou. What part of the World Wide Web and internet? I'm like, we were in New York, and I wanted to have a nice husband. I wanted a nice career, and I did not want to worry about money. That's all I asked for from you. I was like, and you yourself weren't able to get a steady employment, a steady paycheck, or any kind of solid foundation since you moved here from Italy. That's the scenery in 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. At what point did you think opening up the World Wide Web to more fucking shitbags, so you're going to increase the population fighting for the same job your daughter's fighting for? Are you fucking crazy? Why would you increase the population fighting for the same one job, Lou? And he's like, well, I don't see it that way. And then it's like, well, then maybe they're better qualified. Better qualified for what, Lou? There was no fucking jobs here in New York. Why would you do a worldwide portal system to let the shitbags from elsewhere find just how derelict the management here was, and then try to prospect in their miscarriage of justice, further crippling your daughter and now your grandchildren? I mean, like, the man just doesn't see it that way. He's like, I gotta go figure out how to get an IBN. Or ISBN. I'm like, right, whatever. So I know there's a registry for that. I know that that follows some form of management. I know Linda's watching as a couch potato the spotlight on DCI. And DCI, and is it DCI Banks? Yeah, it's DCI Banks and DIM. So that's a TV show. It seems British with accent. And I know that there's tie-in with what's going on here for missing loops. I have, on the electrolysis, I did not put my two triangles in the center with one another because it's not the health standard that I'm living in New York. They've opened the system, kept me purposely. I'm like, all right, so now if Denmark American Mark and Denmark KGB Mark could have a conversation with himself over both triangles and two dots in the center, within one circle, within one square, within 4T. Could you figure something out? Because you're the same person that I think called himself Eric at some point, Niklaus at some point, Klaus, then there's Nicholas. I mean, I really don't care what sounds you make when you call yourself something. I mean, it's all Greek to me at this point. I hate being Roman, or I hate being associated with the Romans. And it's a swarm. SWARM. Romer caused a swarm, compounded with the Lou problem. And I don't know how much they purposely force shit, but it is a real problem in actuality. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza. Let's think about this. Oh, and I went up to go see one of the lawyers over here to see if he knew about employment. On the top of his thing, he says that there is a Bayside Chamber of Commerce. I'm going to go search for that because I couldn't find one. And then it has something about, there's some kind of permit that is refusal of act. I don't know what that was about. I'm assuming he's at post office. Got me. No idea. But there's some kind of system of refusal for getting mail. I am lost. A personal, like, assistant U.S. somebody special would be nice to, if they know the system and how to protect me. It would be nice if, like, Big Brother, since they say that there's, like, good people somewhere in the world. Right. If he learns something, if he wants to just show up and help me out, that would be nice.